Hey guys, in this video, we're gonna answer the question, will there be a foreclosure crisis in 2021? If you stick around to the end, I'll give you my thoughts on what I think what might happen. So let's go. Hey guys, my name is Mac Rogers. I'm a real estate broker here in Castro Valley, California, in the lovely East Bay of San Francisco. If this is your first time on this channel, welcome. This channel is all about living in the East Bay. What is it like to live here? How much does it cost to live here? Where do you live here? What do you do in the East Bay? If you're new to the channel, I also do real estate market updates just like this one. So you've probably been hearing it on the news, or if you go on the internet, people are talking about the coming foreclosure crisis in 2021. Now they're gonna give you a lot of things like the economy, the forbearance, and basically what's been going on around us. So in this video, what I'm gonna share with you is the statistics that are out there that's available to me, available to experts, and available to you also. And after the video, hopefully you can figure out for yourself, or have an informed decision of what you think might happen. And like I said in the beginning, I'll also give you my thoughts on what I think will happen. So in order for us to do this, we need to answer 4 questions. Number 1 is, what is a foreclosure crisis and what are the experts are saying? Number 2, what's happening in the economy, unemployment, and forbearance? Number three, what happened to those individuals in forbearance? And number 4, what's different now? So first off, when this pandemic started, everybody started having their forecasts on what's going to happen to the economy. So people are saying that we're going to be, we're going to be going down, and then we're going to have this weird recovery. And then a lot of people like Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, and all these other mortgage bankers, or investment banks, they said that they think that we're going to have a V recovery. And a V recovery is basically, it's very simple. We go down and we go up, a steep decline and a steep upward trajectory. And the reason for this is simple, because they believe that this pandemic is temporary. We're going into it with one of the strongest economy that we've had in history. So logic dictates that once the virus is gone, that we should be going back to where we were before. So as you can see with the graph, comparing it with what actually happened, that actually right now, currently November 2020, that's actually what's going on. So we had this steep decline, and now heading into the 4th quarter, we're going up. Now, kind of the question right now is that all of a sudden we're in another lockdown. So what's gonna happen after this? We don't know, but certainly right now the projections are right on track, and they rarely happen. The Federal Reserve did a survey, and most businesses said that it's gonna take 4.5 years for us to go back to pre-COVID or pre-pandemic levels of employment. And this is very important because in the beginning, people were comparing what we're going through right now to the Great Recession that we just recently had, the housing crisis, and also the Great Depression. But if you look at this graph, if you compare it with the Great Recession, it took us 9 years to get back to pre-recession unemployment or employment numbers. And also the Great Depression in the 1900s, it took us 12 years, and actually it was more of a W type of recovery that we had for that time period. But right now, everybody is saying, or at least the people that were surveyed, that it's going to take us 4 years to go back to pre-pandemic levels of employment. So it's a much shorter, definitely nothing like the recession or the depression era. So here's a quote from Bankrate. As you can see, they're basically saying that, look, we don't believe that this thing is going to happen, the foreclosure crisis. It's probably going to be more like a trickle rather than a full floodgate of foreclosures coming in. And if you compare the foreclosure numbers from way back from 1999 all the way to 2020 this year, you can see that we are nowhere near those numbers. And if you certainly compare it to the last mortgage meltdown, we're definitely nowhere near those numbers. Take a look at this. it's like, that's almost like 600,000. Right now, we're not even at 24,000. Here's a quote from Aspen Grove. They mentioned about strategic defaults. Now, what the strategic default is, basically people that were walking away from their property or doing short sales on their property. This happened a lot during the mortgage meltdown, and mainly it was happening because there were no equity in the property. Right now, what we are getting is more of strategic forbearance, and I'll get into that more a little bit later. Also, what's contributing to this healthy, I would say, healthy market is inventory. If you look at this graph, inventory has been going down year over year, and we're at levels that were back in 1999. The number of inventory or homes for sale is less than 6 months. That means that if, let's say, we have 100 homes for sale right now, it would take 6 months to sell all those homes without any new homes coming into the market. That's the national number. In the Bay Area, we've normally had less than 90 days of inventory. Now, currently, what we have with the current market that we have, it's actually less than 30 days. In some cases, it's actually like around 21 days. So it's definitely a seller's market. And here's another thing. This phenomenon is no longer just a Bay Area thing. Multiple offers, no inventory, no contingency offers. This was a Bay Area or a California thing. Now most of the US markets are experiencing it. Whether you go to Rochester, New York, New Hampshire, Idaho, everywhere, they're experiencing the same thing. A glut of home buyers coming into the market. No inventory means higher prices. Here's the home projection forecast by various companies like Zillow, the National Association of Realtors, the Mortgage Bankers Association. Take a look at the numbers. They're all projecting positive numbers. Now, the one thing that I want you to pay attention to is CoreLogic. CoreLogic they're still projecting a positive number, but very small. So you have to wonder, what is CoreLogic seeing that all these other people are not seeing, or how are they interpreting the numbers different from all these other companies? Now, here's another thing that's different right now. It's called product risk. So product risk, basically, if you look at this graph, right now it doesn't exist anymore. But prior to the mortgage meltdown, there were a lot of product risk in the market. Basically, what product risk is, the type of mortgage that's being offered out there. There used to be what we call ninja loans. No income, no asset, no job verification. That's right. If you were breathing and you had a social security number, you get a loan. Now, another product risk that is no longer being offered is this loan called negative amortization. Basically, for those who don't know, what it is every month you have 4 options of paying off your mortgage. One is the 15-year, you basically pay more. 2 is the 30-year, your regular mortgage. And 3 is interest only. And the 4th one is negative amortization. What this means, the 4th one is, let's say you have a $3,000 mortgage. You're allowed to pay only, let's say, $2,000. That $1,000 is tacked on at the end of your mortgage to get paid off later on down the line. So guess what most people with negative amortization loans were paying off? They were using the fourth one. So you can see that if you have a $500,000 house and it's not appreciating, and every month you're doing the negative amortization, you're actually digging yourself into a hole. Now, here's another thing. When negative amortization first came out, it was actually, you needed to have a down payment. But towards the latter part of the market, when we were about to head down, or actually we were at the top, they started offering 100% financing negative amortization loans. Now think about this. You go into a house, you don't put anything down, and the first month you pay less than what you're supposed to pay. So you're actually on the negative right at the get-go. So that's one of the things why we had a lot of strategic defaults or strategic people, people walking away from their homes. So now let's answer the second question, is what's happening in the economy, unemployment, and forbearance. So as you can see with this picture, consumer spending in most of a lot of the states are actually coming back. Some of the states like California, where I'm from, we're not there yet. We're still negative, and I don't know if this has anything to do with the fact that we're still closed. I'm not really sure if these states that are in blue, if they are open states. Now here's the unemployment numbers from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. You probably heard President Donald Trump at the beginning of the year. We've had the most lowest unemployment, the biggest, the best economy that we've had in history. And then when the pandemic hit, as you can see, 14% in unemployment. Right now, it's great. We're back down to less than 7%. Now, here's the thing that I want to tell you also. When this first started, the projection, the high was to be, I think it was around 20 or 25% was what they were projecting to be unemployment numbers. So we never went to those numbers. We never went that high. It was 14%. So it's great that we're heading the right direction. We're going down, and hopefully we're still going down some more. Now, like I said earlier, people were comparing this to the Great Recession, Great Depression. But if you see the graph that I showed you earlier, we're nowhere near those numbers. And if you see here, the projection, the actual, I don't know if you can see the red line. The red line's actually behind that mustard colored line. It's actually tracing that number. And I actually believe that it might be a little shorter than that. And this is why. If the vaccine is really helpful, that we can open up, I think we get out of this much faster than 4 years. Now, here's another thing: forbearance numbers. A lot of the foreclosure crisis talk centers around forbearance. When this first happened, they were projecting that 30% of all mortgages were going to be in forbearance. Well, that didn't happen. We were nowhere near 30%. We didn't even cross the 10% mark. We're at the peak. It was 8.6% of all mortgages was in forbearance. And right now, that number is actually 5.67%. So definitely, again, headed the right direction. This graph just shows you the actual numbers that were on forbearance. As you can see, we're going down from back in May all the way into July, and I think we're still going down, headed down with the latest numbers. I don't have that yet. So number three, the third question that we need to ask is, what happened to the people in forbearance? So here's a quote from the Mortgage Bankers Association. So basically, they said that 2/3 of the people that were on forbearance, after their forbearance, they either paid off their loan or continued on with their mortgage payments, or some of them extended their forbearance. So whatever foreclosure crisis that could happen because of forbearance, it's not happening right now. And I believe when we had the recession, the mortgage crisis, where a lot of people were doing strategic defaults, meaning walking away from the property, doing short sales, there were a lot of people that were doing strategic forbearance in the beginning. Basically, what people were saying was that, like, hang on, we don't know where this thing is headed. If forbearance is being offered to us, we're gonna take it, because they were conserving cash. Now that not everybody, but a lot of people know where we're headed. So a lot of people are basically just went back and started paying off their loan, or some even paid off the mortgage forbearance that they had. Others, what they did was, like, if they had like 3 or 6 months of back payments, they just added it to the back of the loan. So a lot of those folks that were on forbearance are back on track. So finally, the number 4 question that we have to ask is, what is different now compared to the mortgage crisis? And what is different? We talked about this earlier. Lending standards are different, more strict right now. If you need to get a loan, if you do get a loan, you are qualified for a loan. And then we talked about the product risk earlier, the ninja loans, the negative amortization loans, the interest-only loans. Interest-only loans are not even that common now. And here's another thing that's different right now. home equity cash out. If you look at this graph, take a look at how much home equity cash out was going on during the mortgage meltdown. Now it's not the same. And here's the thing also, people, when they were doing this cash out during the mortgage meltdown, I mean, they were treating their home as if it was a piggyback. It was a never-ending ATM machine. They were cashing out to buy RVs, boats, luxury cars, going on luxury vacation. Basically, not really being, I guess. I mean, I don't mean to tell people what to do, but they weren't really doing good things with their money, essentially. And also, because of that, there was not a lot of so you have the lax standard, the type of loans that were going out, and the equity cash out going out. So a lot of people had no equity in their homes. Now around 58% of homes have equity in them. Will you? I mean, no one will walk away from a home that has $177,000 in equity. Will you? I mean, I certainly won't. So according to a chief economist at First American, homeowners having a lot of these equity, they have more avenues to move forward. Either sell the property and get money out, or do a refinance to basically restructure their finances. And also now, just comparing it back to September of 2019, our inventory levels are much lower. So people keep wondering, why are prices going up? Well, you see, our inventory levels are so low, and then you have demand that's so high. I mean, it's basic supply and demand. So that's why we keep going up and up. So finally, here's one quote from Ivy Zelman. Basically, what she said was that there's zero likelihood of a foreclosure crisis. And this is where I think I agree with her. I don't believe that we will have a foreclosure crisis like what we saw before. The worst that can happen is maybe prices go down a bit, or we flattening out. And the reason for this is mainly because at some point, prices are gonna be really unaffordable. But I'll give you a little bit of a caveat here. Throughout the last couple of years, every time that I thought that the prices have gone up so high that income has to follow, guess what? In comes so many other buyers willing to pay the higher price. So to me, what I think will happen is we might have a little bit of a tapering off, a leveling off, or maybe even a little bit of a slight dip in home prices. But again, this all depends on what's going on with the pandemic. If we do get that vaccine, I think we're actually gonna be in a much shorter curve in terms of the recovery. We're probably gonna be not gonna be 4 years. I think it's gonna be much shorter than that. But if we continue on with this, with the closures, President-elect Joe Biden already said that we might have another closure when he gets into office. I think all bets are off if we continue closed, because we cannot ignore all the people that are losing their jobs. Eventually, it's gonna come trickling down. It's not. We can't just say, "Oh, those are the people that are in the service industry." Guess what? All these other small businesses that are closing, it's gonna start having an effect in our economy. So hopefully, this vaccine will really help us open up the economy again. Because if it doesn't, then that foreclosure crisis that might happen probably latter part of 2021, 2022. But again, hopefully it doesn't. Hey, I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think. Are you in the same boat as I am, that I think that there's not going to be a foreclosure crisis, with the caveat again that we get out of this pandemic? I'd love to hear your thoughts.